So you want to become a better player at Multiversus? Well, you came to the right place, kind of. In today's video, I will be going over some tips that, in my opinion, will benefit you a lot in becoming a slightly better player at Multiversus. Now, I'm no professional at it. I am kind of good-ish average. It depends also on what character you play as and whoever you feel comfortable as. I will be making like a really detailed video on every single character that is currently out, and I know there's a lot of them. So that video will just take a tiny bit of time to do. So I just wanted to put this video out there. This will include mainly stuff with your settings and a few things here and there, including getting the gold really fast and also just your actual playstyle with any kind of character. Anyway, let's hop right into the first one, and that is in your settings you can actually change your interface. Now this is where, in my opinion, it gets very interesting. You can change things like where your name is, the amount of damage your character has, and different things like that, which are actually really beneficial for performing at least slightly better, as with this you will be able to tell very easily how much more damage your opponent needs until they're knocked out, or vice versa, how much more damage you will need before you get knocked out. Now if you've never looked at the interface design on this game, you can actually change where you position your actual normal scoreboard, so you can have it above you or below you. But with this scoreboard, there are little things in this that you can actually put onto your player. Now the things that I will recommend for you to do specifically is look at the damage position and put that on both. This puts the actual damage position of yourself and the enemy onto the player, but also onto your actual normal interface. The reason I recommend putting on both is because sometimes it can be a bit clustered if you just have it on your opponents and yourself, just the player. Having it on both of them will allow you to quickly look around the place. Maybe you're fighting your enemy and that's an easier situation of looking how much damage you need and he needs to get knocked out basically. But there's some situations where, let's say they're off your screen, let's just say you're not concentrating on every single player that's around your place, then you can quickly look at the bottom, look at what character or whatever player needs more damage, and then you can actually go after them and maybe get that victory. Now, the second thing I'm going to recommend for you to do is also put down the cooldown specifically on the player. This will also kind of jumble everywhere, but I feel like I concentrate more on the cooldowns of when I can use my special attacks or things like that on the player itself than having it on the interface. But this one is a very small one. Mainly the damage position is the most important in my opinion. Also, while you're in your settings and your interface, you can actually change the color of what your enemies look like, what you look like, and also what your teammate looks like. Personally, I played with the yellow outline for quite some time, and honestly it was always so confusing. I always was able to get basically just lost of where I was, and I changed it to the color green. So basically I am the green outline, and it just made it so much more vibrant. Yeah, there are the green maps on this game, but it's just such a bright one that personally I see it better, and this is where kind of colorblind and everything else comes in. So if you can't really see greens or any other colors, you can actually change it to whatever you feel comfortable like and whatever will actually make it stand out for you. You can also change what your enemies look like, but personally if you're not like colorblind or you can see red very well, I think red just works best because, you know, that's usually the enemy thing. And also for your teammates, and there's gonna be like 4 teammate modes out there one day, so whenever that's out you can actually fully change every single teammate's color from 1 to 3 to 4 to 3. I skipped 2. I think I skipped over 2. Anyway, those are just the settings that I would recommend for you to change if there's that you feel like will benefit you more. Then look through them. They're kind of basic. They aren't as detailed, but you know, these do make a huge difference. The next one is going to be the way you play and fight your enemies, and specifically this is going to go towards the controller players because I haven't played with mouse and keyboard and I probably won't. For example, I'm going to quickly talk about a PlayStation controller in this situation. You have your classic square, triangle, circle, and your X or cross. There was that like whole weird thing with whatever it was. And of course on the Xbox, you know, might as well go over it. You have the X, you have the Y, you have the B, and you have the A. So those attacks all do something. You have X on PS4, jumps, A, blah blah blah. But what I recommend for you to actually do when you're fighting your enemies, instead of pressing triangle or Y, if you've already not been pressing them and pressing the other buttons for these attacks, then I definitely recommend for you to use your actual trigger buttons, or at least the top trigger buttons. For example, on PlayStation it is R1, L1, and I'm pretty sure on Xbox it's RB, LB, right? It's like left trigger, right trigger, or LRT, right? RRB? It's one of those. Anyway, using them is actually giving you the accessibility of using attacks that triangle would do. But the thing with triangle or Y kind of randomizes through those attacks. So for example, on Jake, you can specifically use triangle to do multiple different attacks, but also you can use the top buttons to do those same ones. Basically, I would really recommend just you experimenting. If you're one of those players that do know what you're pressing, then this is probably not the part of the video you're interested in. But if you don't, and you're just one of those people that just start spamming every single button possible to get those, you know, attacks in, then I would recommend for you to experiment a bit more. The next one is actually going to be in relation to as well playing, but nothing to do with like my controller description being terrible. This is specifically talking about one move that should be your #1 best friend, and that is the dodge button. Whatever it is on your dedicated console, PC, whatever, it is amazing. Now, one thing is, I'm not a huge person that loves his fighting games, but this one just kind of speaks to me more, so I'm a huge fan of it. I don't know how it is on other games in relation to pressing the dodge button, but there's situations in this where it might not work as well as I'd like it to, but you should still use it. And the cool thing with your dodge button is that you can also utilize it to, of course, not only dodge, but if you get thrown out of the map, let's say, and you run out of your jumps to get back in, don't forget you can dodge your way towards it. Some characters also have specific attacks by pressing your Y or triangle or whatever it is on mouse and keyboard that will allow you to fly towards the arena even further. I feel like a lot of people end up, you know, falling to their deaths or getting thrown out of the map, even though they can press the dodge button and it will allow you to save yourself. Now, aside from playing, the last few things that I'm going to go over is in relation to getting gold. I will be doing in-depth, detailed like guide videos in the future about all of this stuff. I might as well include it in here just so you get a bit of tips and tricks if you didn't know about them. So if you're struggling to get gold, which I feel like is the main thing that everybody is doing, it's not easy to get, you know, it's kind of rough, but you can actually utilize it and get it pretty easily, at least daily. So every time you spawn in, there's a little message that says that you will get 200 plus gold somehow, even though it's never really 200, it's 100 for me, if you get your first win. Now, the cool thing with this is you don't have to play against real players to get this win. Yes, there is a section where you can literally play with bots. You can have a teammate bot and play against 2 other bots that just kind of, you know, is super easy to win. So every single day you hop onto Multiversus, I really recommend, if you're not a super great player, or even if you are, just to not risk it, hop onto some bots and just get that free 100 to 200 gold. And on top of that, you can play your 3 matches and, you know, you can get your extra gold. Another little tip in relation to the gold, you can actually get a good amount of it if you simply just get up to level 5 on most of the characters. They rotate every single 2 weeks and you'll be getting characters that, for example, you might not have unlocked. Just level them up to level 5, which is super easy, and you can get like 100 gold on top of obviously just unlocking gold for playing and also your overall level. Anyway, I hope some of these kind of like open up your eyes and maybe you can hop back in and become at least slightly better, because it is a fighting game in the end. Fighting games, in my opinion, have always been one of those where it's like, go in, spam every single button and see what happens. But if you try to, you know, become slightly better, you can actually do pretty good. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're looking forward to more Multiversus content, once again, be sure to subscribe, be sure to drop a like on the video, and I will see you all guys in the next one. Peace out.